and welcome to Indus News Live from Islamabad. I'm Hira Mustafa and these are the headlines. Pakistan has summoned India's envoy to register its rejection of New Delhi's illegal actions in the occupied Kashmir. Foreign Office says the charge d'affaires was told that India must reverse its August 5th move and lift the inhumane military siege. In a statement, the office said it reminded India to refrain from demographic changes in the occupied valley and cease extrajudicial killings. Pakistan says its ties with the US are moving in the right direction. National Security Advisor Mehdi says both sides are focused on outcomes and not optics. In a tweet, Yusuf said he has concluded a constructive visit to the US, where he held discussions with his counterpart Jake Sullivan and think tanks. The US has called on Iran's new president Ibrahim Raisi to return to talks on reviving the historic 2015 nuclear deal. A State Department spokesperson warned the window for diplomacy would not remain open forever. Raisi was sworn in yesterday, saying he will support any diplomatic plans to end sanctions on Iran. An armed group has killed at least 30 people in a series of attacks in villages across northern Burkina Faso. In a statement, the Defense Ministry said the military killed 10 attackers and had regained control of the area. It said the victims included 11 civilians, 15 soldiers, and 4 government-allied militia members. Brazil has registered nearly 1,100 daily deaths from COVID-19 and over 40,000 cases. Meanwhile, in Pakistan, 67 people have died while more than 4,700 tested positive overnight. Globally, the death toll has crossed 4.2 million, with more than 200 million infections. And in the Tokyo Olympics, Team US has bagged the gold medal in women's beach volleyball by defeating Australia. Meanwhile, Poland's David Tomala won the gold with a dominant performance in the men's 50-kilometer race walk. China leads the medal standings with 34 goals, followed by the US on 30 and Japan 22. Well, those were the headlines. News in detail coming after the short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now the news in detail. Pakistan has summoned India's envoy to register its rejection of New Delhi's illegal actions in the occupied Kashmir. Foreign Office says the charge d'affaires was told that India must reverse its August 5th move and lift the inhuman military siege. In a statement, the office said it reminded India to refrain from demographic changes in the occupied valley and cease extrajudicial killings. The Foreign Office spokesperson called for the release of the illegally detained Kashmir youth and political leadership. Zaid Hafiz Chaudhry also urged for the withdrawal of over 900,000 occupation troops from the territory. Pakistan says its ties with the US are moving in the right direction. National Security Advisor Mehdi says both sides are focused on outcomes and not optics. In a tweet, Yusuf said he has concluded a constructive visit to the US. The advisor said he held discussions with his US counterpart Jake Sullivan and think tanks. Earlier, Yusuf said Islamabad will not accept a forceful takeover in Afghanistan. In a press conference at the Pakistan embassy, he said Kabul has been trying to scapegoat Pakistan for its failures. He urged the government of Afghanistan and the Taliban to compromise and reach a peace settlement. The US has called on Iran's new president Ibrahim Raisi to return to talks on reviving the historic 2015 nuclear deal. A State Department spokesperson says Washington hopes that Iran seizes the opportunity to advance diplomatic solutions. However, Ned Price warned the window for diplomacy would not remain open forever. He said at some point the benefits of reviving the pact will have been eroded by the advancement of Iran's nuclear program. He reiterated the U.S. will defend and advance its national security interests and those of its partners. Raisi was sworn in yesterday, saying he will support any diplomatic plans to end sanctions on Iran. The European Union has reiterated that Israeli policy of settlement construction on occupied Palestinian territories is illegal. In a tweet, EU delegation to Palestine said the bloc members and like-minded countries visited Beita village near Nablus city. The delegation included representatives from the UK, France, Germany, Italy, Spain, Belgium, Denmark, the Netherlands and Sweden. The EU said the visit comes amid rising levels of settler violence against Palestinians and the building of an illegal outpost on Mount Sabi. All participants reiterated strong opposition to Israel's settlement policy. The delegation said the total number of settler attacks in 2021 has increased by 46% compared to the same period in 2020. It said 96% of investigations by Israeli authorities into alleged acts of settler violence do not lead to the filing of an indictment. The diplomats noted Israeli security forces have killed 6 Palestinians, including 2 children, since May. They said Israeli settlers and others who are responsible for crimes against Palestinians must be held accountable. Meanwhile, British Council Journal Diane Corner said settlements threaten the physical viability of a two-state solution. An armed group has killed at least 30 people in a series of attacks in villages across northern Burkina Faso. In a statement, the Defense Ministry said the military killed 10 attackers and had regained control of the area. The ministry noted the victims included 11 civilians, 15 soldiers, and 4 government-allied militia members. It said attackers also stole cattle and set properties on fire. It added the counter-offensive to find the assailants is ongoing on the ground and in the air. There was no immediate claim of responsibility. More news stories coming up after the short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. The UK has rejected Pakistan's former Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif's request for an extension in his visa. Sharif's party spokesperson said he can challenge the decision in the Immigration Tribunal. PMLN spokesperson Maryam Aurangzeb said the lawyers have filed the appeal. Aurangzeb said the party leader can reside in the UK legally until the appeal is decided. Pakistan's government advised Sharif to get a temporary passport and return to Pakistan to face the courts. Information Minister Fawad Chaudhry said Sharif's appeal will possibly be rejected as he is not sick. Chaudhry said the former Prime Minister might have to serve jail time for lying about it. Sharif has been living in London since November 2019 after he was allowed to leave the country for medical treatment. For more on this, we are joined by Ahmed Jawad, PTI Information Secretary, with us. Mr. Jawad, did the PTI government play any role to pursue the UK government in making this decision of not extending Nawaz Sharif's stay?
Okay, first of all, I would like to clarify that in case of Nawaz Sharif case, bringing back to the country, it is not a case of any personal vendetta. It is a case of rule of law. So if we are trying to bring back Nawaz Sharif, it is based on the rule of law. He's convicted. He's required here in Pakistan by the court decision. And he left the country based on health conditions. And he was supposed to return after 3 months, which he never. So obviously, he's required back to Pakistan according to the law, according to the court decisions. And on the other hand, he has extended his stay on political reasons, which definitely is not based on health reasons anymore. as all of us can see, that he is walking around in London, hale and hearty, and he's healthy, no problem. So the current decision by the UK authorities not granting extension to Nawaz Sharif is definitely about the local laws in UK. Obviously, PTI government, like I said, the rule of law, we have been pursuing officially and informing UK authorities that he's a convicted and he was given permission to leave the country for health reason, and he should be sent back. So obviously we did pursue, but on official grounds and based on merit, not any personal vendetta with Nawaz Sharif.
Right. Mr. Jawad, how has Nawaz Sharif protracted stay affected his popularity among Pakistanis?
I think this is according to the political traditions in Pakistan, where political figures, when the political environment is not suitable to their designs, they leave the country and then they try to create political influence remotely. We can compare it with the past precedent where Nawaz Sharif agreed to leave the country and under an agreement with Musharraf and stayed for many years in Saudi Arabia, and then he made a comeback. And then we also have the examples of Benazir Bhutto, Asif Ali Zardari, Altaf Hussain. So it is something which has been done in the past, and they try to reinvent their political stature by staying abroad, by staying away from the law of Pakistan, and they try to redesign their political agenda. And this is exactly what Nawaz Sharif is also trying to do, and staying away from the court decision under which he was supposed to be in the jail, not living a luxurious life in London.
Right. Mr. Jawad, the PMLN is accusing PTI of politicizing Nawaz Sharif's health. How do you respond to that?
Political criticism, yes, it is part of politics, and especially in case of Nawaz Sharif, who is a convict, and under this government, by making a commitment to this government, he left the country and he was supposed to come back. So obviously we will criticize his stay in London and his political ambition, which he's trying to carry out in Pakistan remotely from London, and not facing the law of Pakistan here in Pakistan, or courts of Pakistan. So obviously it's a matter of criticism based on merit, and which PTI obviously is criticizing.
Ahmed Jawad, thank you for speaking to Indus News. And now we're moving on. In Pakistan, coronavirus has claimed another 67 lives overnight, taking the death toll to 23,702. The Health Ministry says more than 4,700 people tested positive for the virus in the past 24 hours. It said the caseload has now crossed 1,058,000. Meanwhile, more than 954,000 people have recovered so far. The number of active cases is nearing 80,000, of which more than 4,100 people are critical. The ministry says the positivity rate of overnight infections was 8.18. Brazil has registered nearly 1,100 daily deaths from COVID-19 and over 40,000 cases. Globally, the death toll has crossed 4.2 million with more than 200 million infections. Details in the following report. With highly contagious Delta variant sweeping the world and vaccine issues, the hopes of returning to normalization have dampened. Since Sinovac showed only less than 60% effectiveness, Chile has announced to give a booster jab to those who received this shot. In the US, the world's worst hit country from COVID-19, New Delhi infections have climbed to a 6-month high. The Delta variant ravaged Florida and other states with lower vaccination rates. The White House also confirmed that it is considering requiring foreign visitors to be vaccinated.
The administration certainly understands the importance of international travel. And given where we are today, as Dr. Walensky showed us earlier, on the prevalence of the Delta variant, the United States will maintain the existing travel restrictions at this point.
China has reported its highest daily count for new coronavirus cases in its current outbreak, fueled by a surge in locally transmitted infections. South Korea has announced to extend its social distancing curbs by 2 weeks as more people fall severely ill. In Australia, more than half of the population woke up to hard lockdowns as the country battles to contain Delta outbreaks. Sydney reported another record number of new infections, while authorities warned residents to brace for worse to come.
But unfortunately, we had an increase in case numbers from yesterday to 291 cases of community transmission. There are a number of cases still under examination, but at least 50 of those were infectious in the community. And I do want to foreshadow that given this high number of cases, we're likely to see this trend continue for the next few days.
Over in Europe, Greece has imposed a nighttime curfew on 2 popular tourist islands to contain the spread of COVID-19. In Germany, health ministers' plan to place restrictions on unvaccinated people is facing stiff resistance from his coalition partners and the opposition. In Ethiopia, Tigray rebel forces have taken control of the town of Lalibella in the neighboring Amhara region. Lalibella is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and home to 13th century churches hewn from rock. The deputy mayor of Lalibella, Jofra, said the town is under the control of the Tigray rebels. He said there had not been any shooting, but residents were fleeing from the town. The mayor said he was concerned about the safety of the historic churches. Witnesses reported that hundreds of armed Tigrayan men entered the town without any fighting. They said Amhara's forces allied to Ethiopia's government fled the area with local officials and left civilians defenseless. Meanwhile, the U.S. called on Tigrayan forces to respect the cultural heritage of the town. Washington also voiced concerns over reports of child soldiers recruited by rebels and Ethiopian forces' harassment of ethnic Tigrayans. The Belarusian president has ordered security forces to tighten control over the border with Lithuania. This comes after the EU summoned the Belarusian envoy in Brussels over the border dispute on Wednesday. The bloc has accused Minsk of orchestrating the crisis and using it as a political weapon in retaliation for EU sanctions. The migrant surge is emerging as another source of tension between Belarus and its European neighbors to the west. Earlier, Lithuania said it has the right to use force against immigrations and turned away 180 people trying to enter its territory. The country has no physical barriers on its border, and over 4,000 migrants have crossed from Belarus this year. In Tanzania, authorities have detained protesting supporters of arrested opposition leader Freeman Mbowe. The supporters gathered outside the court waving placards and chanting slogans in favor of the opposition leader. Mbowe and other opposition officials were arrested last month ahead of a conference to demand constitutional reforms. The 59-year-old has been charged with terrorism, financing and conspiracy. He is being held in a prison in the capital, Dar es Salaam. Mbowe was due to appear in court on Thursday via a video link, but the case was postponed to Friday due to connection problems. In North Korea, flash floods due to the heavy rains have caused immense destruction along the country's east coast. The state media said thousands of people were evacuated while hundreds of homes were damaged. It said farms and roads have also washed away. The reports come as concern grows about damage to crops and its potential impact on food supplies in North Korea. The country is cut off from most foreign imports and aid by international sanctions. In China, Typhoon Liupit has made landfall across Guangdong and Fujian provinces. Authorities say they have evacuated more than 33,000 people to safe places. Flights have been cancelled, bridges closed and trains suspended across the two provinces. The typhoon brought winds of up to 23 meters per second at its center. Meanwhile, heavy rainfall may cause flooding in both urban and rural areas in eastern Guangdong. Liupit is the 9th typhoon to hit the country this year. European scientists have reported last month as the world's third hottest July on record. They say unusually high temperatures were seen in regions from Finland to the US. Details in this report.
Emissions of greenhouse gases continue to change Earth's climate. Scientists say global warming is making heat waves more likely and more severe, and a hotter planet will lead to heavier rainfall. The last 7 years are ranked as world's hottest on the record. Copernicus Climate Change Service says coming years will set new records of global warming.
The results from this month's release of Copernicus climate change data show that globally, July was the joint third warmest on record, so joint with last year. And of course, as with a global warming trend, we will see record-breaking months and years as we move forward, because of this underlying trend. But then, of course, there are slight variations on top of that. So not every year is going to be warmer than next or every month.
Multiple regions were beset by extreme weather events last month. It was Europe's second hottest July on record after 2010. Record-breaking heat in the United States and Canada, which began in June, killed hundreds of people and fanned wildfires. In China, Belgium, and Germany, extreme rainfall caused deadly floods.
If we look at Europe, it was also the second warmest July month on record, but it was actually quite spatially different across Europe. So Eastern Europe was much warmer than average, and there were a number of heat waves in that region, whereas in parts of Western and Central Europe, it was actually below the kind of recent 30-year average.
Copernicus' record go to 1950 but are cross-checked with other data sets that trace back to the mid-19th century.
Now it's time to take a short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. In Tokyo Olympics, Poland and US are among others to clinch gold medals on the 13th day of the Games. China leads the medal standings with 34 golds, followed by the US on 30 and host Japan 22. This report has more on the Games. Day 14 of the Games is scheduled to feature a total of 23 medal events. Team US bagged the gold in the women's beach volleyball by defeating Australia. Poland's David Tomala won the gold medal with a dominant performance in the men's 50-kilometer race walk. Meanwhile, Britain earned the bronze medal in the women's hockey tournament after a hard-fought 4-3 win over India. Britain Lauren Price qualified for the gold medal round after beating Dutch opponent Nuchka Fontagen in the women's middleweight boxing. Cuba's La Cruz won the men's heavyweight boxing gold medal after beating Russia's Muslim Gadzi Magomedov. We have with us Ali Mehdi, sports analyst. Ali Mehdi, thank you for your time. Mr. Ali, we saw the Spanish government intervening last time this happened. Do you believe that can happen again, or is this it?
That's a very good question. You see, last year with Lionel Messi, we had a similar situation where Lionel Messi had actually reached the final year of his contract. At that time, the situation was very different, where the pandemic had actually just started off. It was really getting out of control. Financially, all clubs had suffered, and that was when the club had actually decided that they wanted Lionel Messi to stay, but it was Lionel Messi who actually wanted to leave. But after there was some turbulent times regarding the management board of directors, the president too, and because of that, there was it didn't seem that there was going to a resolution was going to come through. But after much convincing, Lionel Messi decided to stay for the remainder of his contract, which is 1 year. The situation is different this time. This time, Lionel Messi, he has a lot of players which have come. Sergio Aguero, which is one of his previous, who is one of his Argentinian compatriots, has decided to join him over there, and now he's a free agent too. He was willing to actually sign a 5-year contract, but because of contractual and financial obligations, the problem over here is that both Barcelona board and Lionel Messi could not meet eye to eye, due to which Lionel Messi had decided that, it's probably best that, he needs to go to fresher pastures. And it's very unfortunate because he's one person who desperately wanted to stay at Barcelona FC, but unfortunately that hasn't been the case this time. And I don't think that this time he's going to probably stay because of the current financial situation.
Right. Ali, how will Messi's fan following feel about him leaving Barcelona?
Messi's fan following around the world will be devastated by this, especially because of, you're talking about Barcelona FC, the fans all around the world. He's a global icon. He's been at Barcelona for 21 years. This is one person who's given his life, heart and soul to the club. He's won 4 Champions League, 10 La Liga titles, and a majority of their success over the past 15 years has been majority due to Lionel Messi. He's a huge blow for them. He is their captain, so they will be crushed, all his fans, and at the same time, Argentinian fans will be disappointed too. So they will be very, very hurt by what's happened right now. But I do feel that it's not only Lionel Messi. I think from both ends, because of the fact that they could not meet at par, they could not meet on the same front. That is why he's actually leaving. Had this situation been handled a bit better, and I think Lionel Messi could have stayed, but fans all around the world, not only fans, also neutrals, are very disappointed and very devastated that such a global icon is no more going to be at his boyhood and his beloved club of Barcelona FC.
Right. Ali, what are future options for the megastar after he leaves the Catalan club?
That's a very good question. Now that Lionel Messi is decided that he's not going to have a future at Barcelona FC, I believe he has a lot of options on the table. He has, I think the most likely option is Paris Saint-Germain. Paris Saint-Germain is actually owned by the Qatari government. Now, the Qatari government, they actually want to attract superstars, and they do want success. They want success, and Lionel Messi would be the perfect person to add to their portfolio. They've already signed Sergio Ramos this year, and Lionel Messi would be great. They have the financial pull power to get Lionel Messi, and they offer him a very generous project where they could win trophies. And the one trophy which has eluded them, the Champions League, adding Lionel Messi, he has a very good chance of winning that. Other than PSG, I feel that Man City, where his previous coach Pep Guardiola is still there, that could also attract him. They have the financial power, and then you have the other options which are highly unlikely, like the likes of Liverpool FC, and they could also pull him. But most probably, it's going to be either Paris Saint-Germain, or it's going to be this other team, which is Manchester City, where his ex-coach is currently coaching.
Right. Ali Mehdi, thank you for speaking to Indus News. And now we're moving on. England fast bowler Jofra Archer will miss this winter's 2020 World Cup and the Ashes in Australia. The 26-year-old will not play again this year with a stress fracture in his right elbow. Pace bowler Ollie Stone is already in doubt to play the Ashes with a back injury. Last week, all-rounder Ben Stokes announced an indefinite break from the game to focus on his mental well-being. The World Cup is scheduled to take place in the United Arab Emirates and Oman in October and November. In cricket, India trailed England by 58 runs at the end of rain-affected day 2 of the first test in Nottingham. Replying to England's first innings total of 183, India were 125 for 4 when the rain came into play. James Anderson led the thrilling fight back at the Trent Bridge, taking 2 wickets, including that of Virat Kohli on duck. KL Rahul and Rishabh Pant will resume the innings when India will come into bat on Friday. Rahul has been the most reliable batsman for India so far, still on the crease at 57. Jasprit Bumrah was the star of the day one, taking 4 wickets, while Mohammad Shami added 3 scalps to his name. Now it's time to have a look at the weather update across the globe. For the latest updates, you can follow us on social media at Indus.News.